Right, good evening everybody from downtown Philadelphia. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who subscribed and commented on my previous videos and liked my videos. There are lots of you still who are viewing the video but not really subscribing. If not, please hit the subscribe button. That does mean a lot to me. Anyway, today I want to talk about some of the mindset changes that people like me who are going back to India have to do, the shift that we have to do before we go to India. So it's something I want to talk about because whenever we think of going back to India, we always talk about the details, like where am I going to live, which part of Kochi am I going to live, where is the nearest hospital, and things like that. But at the same time, the mental aspect, the mindset aspect also is equally important. So I've written down a few things I want to talk about today. So the first one is don't expect things to go smoothly as it normally does in Western nations, particularly in the United States. Here, a lot of us who take the train know that for the most part the trains arrive on time. You have an app that will tell you where the train is and things like that. If you order food, it will come on time. The AC works all the time, the internet works all the time, except for few glitches here and there. But once you land in India, that's not the case. In India, you'll have power cuts, surprise power cuts. Some of them are announced power cuts, and in some cases, you'll have to turn on your generator. Sometimes the internet goes down. You don't know when it's going to come back up, things of that nature. So one of the things we have to do is not get caught up very much in the way things work in the US or any of the country that you come from, but focus on what India is. India works very differently. It dances to a totally different rhythm, and it's our responsibility as people who are coming from other countries to adjust and not necessarily blame the country. So I think the getting used to the rhythm of India is one of the key mindset changes that we have to do. The second one is, in most of the videos I've published so far, one of the common things I hear about is India is hot, it's humid, and things like that. I want to point out that many regions of US is also very hot. There are lots of states in India in the US where there is tremendous mosquito problems. Louisiana, Florida, these are states that come to mind. So wherever there is water, wherever there is stagnant water, and you will find mosquitoes, and also the heat. The moment you land in Kochi airport, the heat hits you. It's not just the heat, the sound, all the horns going off, the exhaust from the cars and things like that. So my thing is we have to slowly ease into that environment and take measures to make sure that we get comfortable. I don't want anyone to take the very next plane and come back to the US. You have to give a certain adjustment time. I normally, when I go to India, I avoid traveling in the afternoon because it's very hot. Even if you turn on the AC in your car, it is still going to be very hot. What I do instead is I travel very early in the morning. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, make sure I have the taxi ready and then start driving. Kochi is kind of in the center of Kerala, so you can be either in the northern part of Kerala, like a place like Kannur, or the south, which is my place, which is Trivandrum, in a few hours. In about 3.5 hours, you can pretty much go anywhere in Kerala from Kochi. So you kind of adjust your travel plan. Another thing I do is I wear shoes everywhere, so it's very difficult for me to go to India and start wearing slippers. But slipper is more comfortable. Wherever you go, you have to remove your footwear, and if you wear slippers, that's more easier to do than if you wear shoes. You have to every time remove your shoes, put it back on, things like that. So another thing is clothing. Make sure you are wearing clothing that is more appropriate for the weather. Cotton, more breathable materials and things like that. So that is the second adjustment. The third one is going to be difficult for me because I'm a very I like my own privacy. I like my own personal space, but that's not the case in India. Everybody is in your space. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Why did you come back from the US? Do you have enough money to survive here? Are you married? How many kids do you have? That's typical India. And I think some of us who have lived in the West for a very long period of time might feel very put off by that type of questioning. But that's part of Indian culture. I think it's India's way of showing love, and we have to incorporate it. So you have to find, if you want to have some privacy, you have to make sure you're doing certain things, or you're in a particular place where you have a lot of privacy. Maybe move away from your phone for a little bit. Do things like that, and don't get caught up with all the questions that people have, and all the things that they want to know about you. So just there is some time you have to give in your daily life for all these type of activities, and then you have to make sure you have some private space, private time to unwind and maybe just spend with your family or by yourself and things like that. One of the places I do that is in the gym. I go to the gym very regularly here in Philadelphia, and to me that's a very it's a very nice place where I'm in my own mind. I'm exercising, I'm getting a nice workout, but at the same time there is nobody else to kind of bother me or ask me what's going on. So you have to maybe do things like that to kind of adjust and get through the transition. The fourth point is it's something that I realized after I dropped my first video, that people like us, people like me, are always going to be an outsider. Even though I can, I have strong ties with India. I have a lot of family in India. I have a property in India, and I can speak Tamil and Malayalam fairly well, understand Hindi. I'm still going to be an outsider. The moment I land there, people will figure out by the way I talk or my mannerisms or things like that, and figure out that you probably spent some time in some other country. So it doesn't bother me, but I did realize that when I dropped my video, and there were some comments where people were like, hey, you left India, you spent all these years in a foreign country, and when you're old you want to come back to India and take advantage of India. I mean, first of all, I don't consider myself very old. I still am a youngster in my mind. I still have a lot of energy left, but at the same time, I left India for a reason, like millions of Indians do. It's not something new. This has been going on for a very long time, and this is no different in my view than a person from Kerala who is going to Bombay, work in Bombay all his life, and then coming back to Kochi. So it's kind of similar. So I don't think it's an issue, but it is something that we have to always keep in mind, that we are going to be an outsider. And the way I approach it is I always be authentic, be who I am, and hopefully over a period of time, the people around me will accept me for who I am. I also want to mention that even though I did get messages like comments like this in my first video, the overwhelming feedback I got from people in India are very welcoming. A lot of people messaged me privately. I even connected with several of them through WhatsApp. They greatly appreciate the fact that people like me are coming back home, and they are hoping that we can contribute something to India. So I do want to point that out. Only a small minority of comments were kind of against this move. And the last point I want to mention is when you go back to India, and in all these points that I'm talking about applies to me, I'm not lecturing anybody. So the last point is fall in love with the India that is today and not the India that you left. I have like some memories of the late 70s and a lot of memories of the 80s. I'm an 80s kid. So in the 80s, for example, it's my personal opinion that Kerala was a much more cleaner state than it is now. So when I go back and see the mess, particularly around the highways, I don't want to like judge, start saying that things were much better earlier on. Now it is all messed up. I don't necessarily agree with that. In certain aspects, things might have deteriorated a little bit, but there are a lot of things in Kerala that are a lot better than back in the 1980s. For example, if you look at hospitals, there are very good hospitals in every major town in Kerala. Previously, like if you want to have a serious surgery, you have to leave the state, but that's not the case today. Then you look at the overall infrastructure, the electricity system, for example. In the 80s, I remember going to rural villages. My father is from a town called Varkala. If you go there in the rural areas, at night when you turn on the light, you can barely see the person in front of you because of low voltage issues. That's not the case for the most part today. If you look at Kochi, Kochi is much cleaner today than probably 5 years ago. There is a definite awareness when it comes to cleaning up the cities, making sure it's the garbage is not lying around everywhere and things of that nature. So there is, even though there are certain things that was a lot better in the 80s, I have to say that there are a million more things that are better today. So when you go back to India, I want to say don't get stuck in the India that you left. Think about the India that you're going to. It's a very different India. It's a very young country. It's full of young people. It's not. It's very different from, like, let's say, going to a European nation or even in the US, which is getting the median age is in the 40s and 50s in some of these Western nations, and you go to India and it's full of young people, and I love it. So anyway, the question I ask myself is, like, am I ready, like, to go back to India? A lot of people ask me this question. So I would say, like, I'm like maybe 80% ready in terms of the mindset change. I'm actually ready in terms of all the practical aspects. I already have an house there. I already have health insurance there. I know which hospital I will be going to, and where I'll be shopping and things like that. That's not a problem. Where I'll be banking, for example, I've had a bank next to my apartment for years. I have some investments there also. So that practical aspects, I think I'm close to 100%. But the mindset aspect, I still have a few ways to go, and I'm hoping that before I get there, I will be able to get as close to the 100% as possible. So I don't know. I would like to know your thoughts on this topic. Please subscribe, please comment, and please like. And you can always hit me up on Instagram or my email ID, which is in my profile. So thank you, everybody, and have a nice rest of the day. Bye.